Welcome to Life in the Bricks podcast, where we talk to real people about programs that enhance our community so that we can build bigger and better portfolios while providing options for our residents to achieve self-sufficiency. I'm your host, Tony McGinnis, Executive Director, CEO with the Huntsville Housing Authority. Welcome to Life in the Bricks podcast, where we talk to real people about real housing issues and create solutions so that we can create better communities. I'm so excited to have with us today Mr. Reed Ellis from Elmington Capital. Reed, welcome to Life in the Bricks podcast.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Appreciate you having me on.
Man, I'm excited to have you. I really want to start out by saying, could you tell us a little bit about you, your background, and where you currently are right now, and what brought you into this housing platform?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am Reed Ellis. I work with Elmington Capital Group. We're based in Nashville, Tennessee. I am from Jackson, Mississippi. I have been with Elmington for about 5 years. Prior to that, had a few other jobs, totally unrelated to real estate in general and affordable housing for that matter. But got linked up with Elmington about 5 years ago to join their affordable housing development team. Been with them obviously ever since. Elmington is it's a Nashville-based company. It's where I'm sitting today, but we've also got offices in Florida, Texas, and Colorado, and we're active in about a dozen states. I work on a team that covers the states of Alabama and Florida, and lead our development efforts in the state of Alabama. We're first and foremost a community-focused development developer. Everything that we do here is meant to help and focus on betterment of communities in which we're serving.
So go ahead.
No, I was just saying that was it. Happy to elaborate.
Yeah, you think about affordable housing developers and being in the space that we're in right here in Huntsville, and we see close to 20,000 units that have been constructed over the last couple of years, and not one being affordable. Man, how is it that an organization or a company like Elmington can do what you all do? What's the backbone or the reasoning behind affordable, especially in a space like this where I'm sure that you all could really benefit from high profits?
Yeah, it's we kind of just fell into the affordable business, and it's difficult to get affordable housing projects done, I would say. But that's kind of been our focus. Like I said, we're focused on community development, and Huntsville, for instance, as you alluded to, has got a ton of market rate units coming, and it's becoming less and less affordable. So we thought that one, being in Nashville, Huntsville's kind of in our backyard, but two, there's such a demand for affordable housing in Huntsville. So that's what definitely led us to Alabama and Huntsville in general. Is our mission to provide affordable housing options, plain and simple.
Do you see any particular trends when it comes to affordable housing? I mean, you're in Nashville. I know you all have done some projects all across the country, but I'm amazed at how you all do affordable with the quality that you do affordable. Can you talk about the importance of the quality of work that you all do, even though it's an affordable project?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you feel that way about our product. We pride ourselves on building very high quality housing. I think Monrovia is a great example If you drove by Monrovia Flats, you wouldn't know it was affordable unless you knew it was affordable. It's a very nice building, as you know. Um, we are long-term owners of these projects, so we're incentivized to build them as nicely as possible, and obviously want to provide a high quality of living for our residents. So that's what drives us to do everything that we can to build really beautiful, meaningful projects.
When you talk about long-term owners, can you expand on that a little bit? Because I think that's so important for people who might be considering doing something in their city with a partner that concentrates on affordable. Can you expand on what that means to a person who really might not understand what that means?
Yeah, I would say a lot of market rate developers, so developers that are going out and building apartment buildings or any type of real estate for that matter, may be more profit driven. They're focused on getting it delivered and leased up, and then and it may have a more short-term focus where they're looking to sell that property and move on to the next one. We have internal property management company, and we have a lot more long-term focus. So back to your previous comment about quality, we're incentivized to build high quality products because we're going to own them for the long term. And having our property management company involved helps keep those properties maintained. I think there's a negative stigma around a lot of public housing, and a problem that is prevalent, that those properties aren't being maintained. So as long-term owners, we're incentivized to keep those properties maintained and looking good, and knowing that we're going to be owning them for the long term.
Just an additional expansion on that question. When you say long term, can you give us an example of, if you're in a contract with the housing authority, you're looking at 20, 30, 40 years. What's usually a contract? What does that usually look like in terms of years, so that we can get a better understanding of that?
Yeah, so different states have different restrictions on affordability. It can range from 15 years to 50, or I think even 99 years. So in Alabama, for instance, that period is 20 years. But just to give you frame of reference, I think we've sold one property. We've been developing affordable housing for 13 years. So I would say at a minimum, 15 to 20 years, but there's really never an intent for us to sell. But to give you a ballpark, I'd say 20 to 30 years.
Because one of the things that when you start talking to people, and I know sometimes elected officials or people in the community might get a little eerie when they hear an affordable project, but to know that you all are vetted in this thing for a 20-year period, you're not going to have a community that's up and doing well for 5 years and then you're looking to offload it. So it's good to know that you all are in for the long term, because you become responsible for the maintenance and the upkeep. And so we want to make sure that people who are looking to duplicate that kind of service understands the level of commitment that you all have in the facilities that you all build. How gratifying is it when you break ground on a property and then a few years later, you have you have a ribbon cutting? How gratifying is that, knowing that you've really met a need, filled a gap for individuals who nobody else is looking out for?
Yeah, it's super gratifying. These projects take obviously a lot of time and resources, and as I mentioned earlier, not easy. So it's very gratifying breaking ground, but I think even more gratifying delivering units, having a ribbon cutting, and seeing the happiness on some of the residents' faces who may have not had quality housing for however many years, to be able to not only provide that, but see their reaction and see their happiness is extremely gratifying. I think it's what drives us to continue to do what we do. Having the impact that we have, it's really great.
Do you can you share with us some of the key challenges that you've seen facing public housing and partnerships throughout the country?
Yeah, gosh, there's a lot. I'd say first and foremost, probably just a limited availability. You know better than me that there's often a shortage of public housing units relative to the demand, which leads to long waiting lists for applications. I think most of the housing authorities that we have the privilege of working with are experiencing extremely long waiting lists. So I'd say limited availability, probably the quality of housing is a challenge. A lot of the public housing units that you see today may not meet modern standards of comfort or safety. They've got issues with heating, ventilation, et cetera, which obviously can affect the well-being of the residents. So I'd say that's a challenge. And then there's always regulatory challenges, funding constraints. There's a lot of bureaucratic process involved in putting these projects together that can create some barriers to effective management and administration of some of the programs. So I'd say those three are some of the higher priority challenges that public housing is facing in our country.
When we think about because most of the units, not all public housing or not all public housing residents are in a development. Sometimes you have people who can afford to pay market rent or whatever. Across the country, people are afraid of that concept. Can you talk about some of the successes around the country? Because I like to know, with us being a housing authority who's partnering with you all, to let people know that these kind of communities work and how successful they are across the country.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've had a lot of success. I would say generally there's been a shift to more mixed income development, which has been very successful. You're seeing more public housing units come integrated with market rate units. And I think the aim of that is to promote a different socioeconomic diversity, and that helps sort of reduce the stigma and create obviously more sustainable communities. So we're seeing a lot more of that. We're seeing something that's important are the public-private partnerships. You as a public housing authority have resources that you can leverage, and when you bring those together with the private sector, a lot of good can be done if working towards a common goal. You've got the expertise from multiple sectors. Excuse me. That create more efficient, innovative housing solutions.
One of the things that people often think about when they think about housing is stereotypes and misconceptions. Being in that space of a developer, were there some stereotypes or misconceptions that you had to get over coming into the industry yourself, and being in this space for the period of time that you've been in, that you've kind of like, man, I'm glad I'm in the space because now I see it a little different?
Yeah, I would say probably the biggest misconception, and one that I had before I started working in this space, was the quality of housing. I did say that public housing, one of the challenges it's facing is low quality, deteriorating housing. But Many public housing developments are modern and they're well maintained and provide a high quality of life for the residents. So I would say that's probably the biggest misconception, is that public housing is what people typically would consider, the slums. I think probably you alluded to another misconception, that the residents are dependent on government aid, which is not always the case. Public housing does provide some sort of safety net for some residents, but a lot of those residents are actively working towards self-sufficiency through some of the programs that are offered, education and job training being two of the bigger ones. So that's another misconception. And then I would say, there may be a misconception that it's only for a certain demographic, but public housing serves, a diverse population, including families, seniors, individuals maybe experiencing homelessness, et cetera. So I'd say those three are the top of mind for me.
I want to dive into Monrovia Flats and Dry Creek for a minute, for those who
Sure.
really don't necessarily know about the Monrovia Flats. Can you share with us what is offered at Monrovia and the amenities that come with those units out there at Monrovia? And then we'll kind of dive into Dry Creek a little bit. But, Monrovia Flats, man, to me was done very well. You guys kind of went overboard I'm sure that's y'all usual model, but kind of talk about what's offered out there so that somebody who may not have heard of Monrovia Flats, they know what they're getting when they go out there to look at those units.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you saying that. Monrovia Flats is a 198 unit project located just west of downtown Huntsville. It's behind the Walmart there on University Avenue, that whole western corridor there that's been experiencing some tremendous growth over the last few years. It is a mix of 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedroom units, which when we were working on this project, found out that there were hardly any 4 bedroom units available. So I think the project's a bit unique from that perspective, and something that we're really excited about, providing low-income housing for larger families. It's 100% affordable. Like I said earlier, if you drive by Monrovia Flats, you wouldn't think it was an affordable housing project. Very, very well done, as you said. We're very proud of it. It's got a beautiful leasing office and amenity space. We've got a fitness room. There's a nice big pool. We've got a dog park there. The units themselves have all the amenities that you would expect in a market rate, class A, for instance, apartment unit. We've got granite countertops, very nice appliances, large bedrooms, large walk-in closets. The project is also walking distance to a number of nearby jobs and restaurants and amenities. So it's a really, really great community. We did the project itself took, as some of these often do, a long time to get done. So very excited and happy to state that this one is leasing up, and I think we still got some units available. So spread the word there. But yeah, that's Monrovia Flats. I wish we could share some pictures of it, because it's one that we're really proud of. It's our first project, first affordable new construction project in Huntsville. So setting the standard pretty high to begin with.
Yeah, that is, man. And I hope we are able to figure out how to put some of those pictures on when we release this episode, because I think the more people can see, the better understanding they'll have. I mean, when I walked into those units, man, I was taken aback, being a person who grew up in public housing myself, knowing that, man, if I had an opportunity, me or my family would have had an opportunity to live in a place that was as nice as Monrovia Flats, man, we would have, I mean, cherished that unit. And I'm just grateful to have a partner like you all, because I know that your heart is in the right place. The company's heart is in the right place. There's not a lot of people who are really looking out for that population. You said that they were 100% affordable, the whole property. Can you kind of go into that a little bit, dive into that a little bit more?
Sure. Yeah. So our rents are restricted up to a certain income level. So you do have to qualify for our units, and there's a certain income thresholds for household size that you have to meet to be eligible for one of our units.
And I think that's important as well, because again, we have to look out for the certain population, because if we don't, with all the units that are coming to our area, we won't have a place for people to go. And, you know, you got young professionals, people who are, you know, in a position where they can't really afford the really high rent amounts, but they don't necessarily want to live in a traditional public housing. So I think this creates a good sweet spot for those residents who are really working and growing and just becoming the best version of themselves. So we're grateful for that. Now, let's talk a little bit about Dry Creek, the unique position that Dry Creek is in, being on the outskirts of the city, right there close to a brand new medical facility. And I mean, a short distance from a Publix, man. How sweet is that setup?
Yeah, we're also very excited about Dry Creek, and you're right that it is unique in the fact that it's a little bit more rural than Monrovia is. So Dry Creek is located about 15 minutes north of downtown Huntsville on Highway 853. Similar to Monrovia, it's a mix of 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedroom units. Also will be a very nice project with similar amenities to Monrovia Flats. Another, I think, unique aspect of Dry Creek is that there really aren't any other apartments nearby, or really any affordable housing options in general nearby. So we think it's going to make a big impact up there. That project's about 95% complete. We should start pre-leasing that one, I believe, next month. So have made a lot of great progress on that one, and we're really excited to get that one delivered and start serving its residents.
The hospital, the Crestwood Medical Center being close, I want to talk a little bit about services. I know that is definitely a benefit for the development, but talk about some of the services that you all have to have in locations like this.
Yeah, it's a good question. We typically, so we'll partner with a supportive services provider, and typically they will get to know the residents and get to know the property, and they will come up with a tailor-made project-specific plan that they believe is best meeting the needs of the tenants. So I can list a number of services, but the actual services will be specific to Dry Creek. But those typically include, or may include, as mentioned earlier, education and job training, health and wellness education, counseling, after-school tutoring, some instances providing transportation services for tenants. So there's a whole suite of services that are offered. And as I mentioned, we will work with our supportive services provider, as we do on all of our projects, to find the services that are best serving the needs of our tenants. So more to come there, but there will be supportive services at Dry Creek, which we're excited about. And as you mentioned, the Crestwood Medical Facility it is obviously a great amenity and asset to have next door to our property. Kind of lucked into that one, so we're really excited about that as well.
A couple of more questions, man. One is, the amenities that are outside. I mean, I know at Monrovia Flats you have a nice swimming pool, and how important is having, once again, the same type of amenities that you would get in a market rate unit. How important is that in a development like Monrovia Flats and Dry Creek?
I think it's very important. We want to empower our residents and provide them with the highest quality of life that we can, and we think they should be entitled to the same level of services that a market rate development would offer. So we up our amenity package as much as we can to get it sort of in line with what you would expect in a market rate project. Not only external amenities, but also internal. So fitness rooms and very nice finishes in the units. So that's important to us. We want to provide more options and access to keep the tenants healthy and happy. We'll typically provide a playground, especially in projects where we've got a higher percentage of 3 and 4 bedroom units, knowing that there'll be larger families, ideally with children living there, and giving them an area to recreate and play and burn off some steam. And then finally, obviously in Huntsville in the summer times it gets extremely hot, so it would be tough, I think, from a leasing perspective to not have a pool when it's getting over 100 degrees in the summer. So we do our best to provide nice pools with a lot of hardscaping, and gives our residents a nice oasis when it gets really hot.
Last few minutes of the podcast, is there anything that we can really advocate for that you are aware of from our community to get more of these projects up and out the ground? What kind of advocacy can we ask our listeners to promote so that we can get more projects like this up and out the ground?
Yeah, I would say share some of the success stories. I think Monrovia is a great example. The more that we can promote developments of that quality and educate the public that public housing doesn't have to be not well maintained, ragged housing. It can be really nice and on par with market rate housing. So I think just raising awareness generally. And then I think there's ways locally for people that want to get involved, talk to your local politicians and make it a point to let them know that affordable housing development is important to you and to the community. I would say generally just raising awareness and through projects like Monrovia, I think can shine a really good light on affordable housing development.
Exactly. So for anybody out there listening, man, we still have units available at Monrovia Flats. We're going to open up the waiting list for Dry Creek at the end of August. So be on the lookout for that. We have 2 phases. I think we're going to open it up for the seniors first from August 27th to the end of August 28th, and then from August 28th to the end of August 29th for the multifamily. So awesome opportunity. If you're looking for a spot, listen, I will vouch for Elmington Capital Partners because they do a quality service. Now it's up to the residents to do what they need to do as well to make sure that those units remain nice So we're going to promote and push and do all that we can to make sure that we train up our residents as well. But Reed, I definitely appreciate you for joining us today. This is going to be on, you feel free once we get this up and going to share it on all your social media links. We're going to do the same here on our end. It's been a pleasure talking to you. You got any final words you want to share with the audience before we bring this to a close?
No, just thank you for having me on. This has been great. It's always a pleasure getting to chat with you, Tony, and we really appreciate the partnership and we're looking forward to getting Dry Creek delivered. So thank you for mentioning those dates.
Yes, sir. So for those who are listening, please like and share on all of your platforms. This has been rich. Hope that you all enjoy. Remember, this is Monrovia Flats, Dry Creek. Thank you again, Reed Ellis, for joining us. And we look forward to doing this again in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
All right. We've come to the end of the podcast today. Please share the link on all your social media platforms. We hope that you all will join us again next time. Until then, keep serving and keep pushing. This has been another amazing episode of Life in the Bricks podcast. Peace.